I've made a video on this topic before, but within a year, the inflation has changed a lot. So I just wanted to give an idea about the different rates with the Iranian currency itself and just how to understand it exactly if you're a foreigner coming from abroad, trying to understand how to use the money when you are in Iran. Now they use two different terms. There's the Rial and there's the Toman. Now the Toman is simply the Rial with a zero taken off of it. So if the bill says 100,000 Rial, it would be 10,000 Toman. Now, where it can get a little more confusing is when they cut it down a little bit too. So the 100,000 Rial bill is 10,000 Toman, or you could say 10 Toman. So there's different ways that people may go about talking about the currency within Iran itself. Now there's a bunch of common bills that people will use on a regular basis. This one says 1,000 Rial, which is basically nothing at this point due to inflation. And the most common ones you'll see are 5,000 Rial, 10,000 Rial, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, and 1 million Rial. Now it sounds like big numbers to a lot of foreigners because $1 Canadian, and I'm going by Canadian because I am myself, so I know the current rates. Now a Canadian dollar is considered to be about 22,000 Toman, so I guess 220,000 Rial. So that would basically be about $2 for this one bill, and I guess about $4 or $5 for the largest bill that you'll usually see. You almost never even see these bills for that matter. Now the American dollar, it's a bit more, it's about 30% more than the Canadian dollar, so then it's about 28,000 Toman, or 280,000 Rial. So you're barely getting $1.50 out of this bill here. Now, as of even last year, in 2020, the coins were still in usage, but the value of these coins is so small that it's the smallest bill that I have here, the 5,000 Rial, which is basically an equivalent of 2.5 cents, and that's the largest of coins. Now, I have even down to 100 Rial, which is basically, I don't know, do the math here, 1/2000th of a cent. The metal has to be worth way more than the value of what these are. So you see various ones, 500, 2,000, 1,000, 5,000, even 100 Rial. These coins basically are not used that much anymore. You might get one in your change, but they're of very little value. Now, just to make it easier for you, in recent months or within the past year, they've added this number on the side. So where it says 100 would be 100 Toman, or 100,000 Toman, where it's 1 million Rial. And just for the sake of ease, there's English and there's obviously the Farsi on the bills as well. So just in case you don't know the Iranian numbers, it'll be in English as well for you. Now at this point you might be like, what's so confusing about that? You just take a zero off, it's Toman, you add the zero back, it's Rial. It's not that big a deal, there's two different things. Well, when they're asking you in the store, you'll have a big issue and you might be paying 10 times what you think you're paying. So for example, I went to buy a little plastic plug so my infant son doesn't stick his fingers in the sockets here. And this is after being here 2 years in Iran, and I still made a mistake because I wasn't fully listening. He said 500 Toman, meaning 500 Toman or 5,000 Rial. But you usually never see anything that would be that cheap, so I assumed it was 5 Toman or 50,000 Rial, and I was about to pay him 10 times the price for these 20 little plastic pieces instead of the price they actually were. Thankfully, a lot of people are very honest here. They'll help you out and help you buy with the currency. Then again, there may be other people who might not let you know, and it'll be your loss after you give them 10 times the amount you should be paying for something. So it's very important to learn what the currency is here, because like I said, you will be paying 10 times more if you make the mistake of paying in Toman when they're asking for a Rial. Or vice versa, you'll be trying to give them money, you might get frustrated because you don't know the language, and you'll be giving them 10 times less than what they actually want because they're saying Toman and you're giving in Rial. Now the reason that I make this video again in 2021 compared to 2020 is the fact that inflation is so massive that almost everything has gone up twofold or 200% within just the year. So everything that you see, it's 2 times more expensive than it was, and within the past 5 years, many people have said it's been 10 times more expensive than it initially was. How people get by who live here and who are not foreigners, I'm not fully sure, because that includes your rent, your food, your bills, everything going up and up and up, and it's very difficult for those who live here, who work here, who earn here. But for foreigners, obviously, it's sort of based off of the dollar, so it doesn't make a difference, because last year it was 10 Toman per Canadian dollar. This year it's 20 Toman per Canadian dollar. That went up twice, everything else went up twice. It's not that big a deal if you were coming from abroad. But for those who live here, it's very difficult to actually be here and be able to provide for yourself and continue to live the same life you were living even the year prior. And just to get a better view of all the money at once, there's your various bills once again. The 1,000 Rial, which has basically no value, this is about 2 cents Canadian, and so on and so forth. Once again, this bill, the 100,000 Rial, is about 50 cents Canadian. And as you go up, this is about $5 Canadian. So that's pretty much the biggest bill you'll ever see. You'll almost never see this once again. I hope this helps you in your journey when you come to Iran and helps you actually understand how the currency works and the fact that it can be very confusing, and it's not always the wisest to just hand your money over to the person at the counter and just expect them to figure it out. You should do some of the work too to make sure you're not being ripped off.